Clutch Sports Talk. Let's go. What's up, everyone? It's me, your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk in the house. Happy Monday to you guys, man. Hope you guys are doing all right. It was a happy Halloween, I guess belated happy Halloween, man. Everyone's back to the grind. And guess what? That means I am back with another episode tonight, man. Hey, as usual, so much stuff to go over and talk about. But I usually pick 4 categories, 4 topics. And guess what? This is what we're talking about tonight. Von Miller, breaking news earlier on today, traded to the LA Rams for basically nothing, right? So good move for the Rams. I'll give you my thoughts. Patriots and the playoffs. Big win last night or yesterday afternoon in Inglewood against the LA Chargers. Maybe New England might be making a run. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Also, who's the best team in the AFC at this point, man? I'm going to break down the AFC potential playoff picture. Who's the best? Who's not the best? Who might sneak in? I don't know. It's crazy in the AFC. And also the NBA, some major rule changes that took effect this year. It's kind of devastating some superstars. And I'll let you know who those superstars are and what their concerns are moving forward. So, hey, without further ado, man, you know what it is. This is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Never settle till the work is done. Let's get the show going. Welcome in, everyone. How you guys doing, man? Hey, it's me, your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk in the house. Hey, if you've never seen my show, this is your first time, hey, welcome. I appreciate you. And if you've watched my show before, I appreciate you as well, man. Make sure if you're in the comments, if you're watching live right now, drop a comment, man. Say what's up, man. Hey, what I got to say, though, how about them Cowboys, right? I'm not going to talk about them today, but hey, shout out to Cooper Rush, man. I'll probably talk about him a little bit later. I don't know. I'll see how I feel about it. But hey, if you're in the show, if you're in the room right now, make sure you drop a comment. Let me know what's going on with you guys, man. How you feeling? What you guys want to talk about? If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, man, that's what that comment section is there for. I mean, really, that's what it's there for, really. So, right. Also, if you haven't checked out my YouTube page, man, please, I'm still trying to make that push, man. Go ahead, make that subscription, man. Hit that notification to let you know anything that goes down with Clutch Sports Talk related. It'll be one of the best moves you've made for 2021. Yeah, I put it out there. That's it. I said it, right? So anyway, without further ado, man, let's jump right straight into this episode. So, I mean, there was a lot of breaking news. You had the Derrick Henry situation, which I'll probably go over that here in just a little bit when I break down the AFC playoff contention and the playoff picture. But the other move coming out of the AFC, I guess, to the NFC, Von Miller on the road, man. He's coming to Hollywood. Yes, Von Miller was traded for second, third round, if I'm not mistaken, and some other things that need to be hashed out. But yes, he will be coming to LA to play defense on that already vaunted LA Rams defense. Now he'll be paired up with the likes of Aaron Donald on the line. You got Jalen Ramsey, and other great players on that defense. So listen, are the Rams the best team right now in the NFL? No, I still don't think they're the best team. They're up there, though. Don't get me wrong. I think that they are very talented. I am still not that sure about the back end of the defense. And you're like, well, what do you think? What do you mean by the back end? Well, yeah, they have Jalen Ramsey, but they did lose some players last season or this season to Cleveland that played a lot of time in the backfield as far as the safety position is concerned. So where the Rams are susceptible still right now is in the passing game. And it's crazy to say that because they do have a Jalen Ramsey. But, for how good Jalen Ramsey is, a lot of times corners are not winning you championships. I've never seen a corner just come out, with the exception of maybe Deion Sanders, right? That's the only corner that you've ever seen, like, we're really not throwing to that side of the football field, right? But the Rams are definitely in contention. They're one of the top 3-4 teams in all of NFL. For sure. But the NFC is deep. Like I kind of mentioned that yesterday on my NFL Sunday morning show, that the Rams are up there. I mean, they got a great roster. They got great coaching. Their fan base is growing. I mean, obviously LA is mixed. I mean, I got the Chargers, you got the Lakers, Dodgers, but the Rams are growing a part of that community. So listen, I don't think it's a bad trade. I think they're in a position right now to win mode now, right? Win mode. They're in win mode. And they did this several years ago on their run to the Super Bowl where they lost to Tom Brady, right? Where they tacked on a bunch of players, via trade, via free agency, beginning of that season. They're putting everything to the front, and they're all in, which I applaud that. I mean, what's the point of holding on to draft picks when you're ready to win now? If you're a young upstart team, a team that's rebuilding, you need draft capital, right? So yes, you should go and get those draft picks, and that's what Denver Broncos are doing. I mean, the Denver Broncos looked at it was, look, man, we're not winning with Von Miller. He's older. We're moving forward. Our defense will still be pretty formidable, right? But look, we might not even have the same coach next year, and Vic Fangio might be out after this season, right? That organization say, you know what, he's been here a long time. He's going to be a Denver Bronco, but we got to get some for him before it's too late, before he walks away and we don't get anything. And why not just trade him for a couple? Honestly, I think the Rams paid a little bit too much for him. But at this point, they don't care about holding on to draft picks. Good teams don't care about draft picks because that's why they're good teams. They don't. I'm not saying they don't draft well, but the time that they do draft, they make sure they hit their mark. And obviously the Rams have done pretty well in the draft in the last couple of years. They drafted guys like Cooper Kupp. Obviously, Aaron Donald was one of their initial draft picks. So, and then they mixed them in with a couple veteran guys. They brought Matthew Stafford in. They traded for Jalen Ramsey. The one guy who might be getting moved tomorrow, Desean Jackson, the local guy from LA. They're really not utilizing him. Now, people thought when he went there, he was going to blow the top off the defense. It's just not working out for him because honestly, that's not the LA Rams offense, man. That's really not what they do. Okay. They go to Cooper Kupp. They got Robert Woods. Those are two really formidable, elite type of players, especially in Cooper Kupp. Desean Jackson just doesn't fit there. And maybe he might be, honestly, if I'm him, I probably want to get off and move somewhere else. I get it. You wanted to come home and play for your local fans, because you grew up in LA, but it just didn't work out. But back to the Von Miller trade. I mean, listen, that defense was already leading the league in sacks, right? Okay. And Von Miller's bringing, I believe he's got 4.5 sacks already this season that he's averaging, I think he has 4.5 sacks already. So, that's one thing I always say about football. You have to attack. You have to get after the quarterback. It's two things. You protect your quarterback and you get after the quarterback. And the Rams are going to be able to do that. They are. So my thing is, at the end of the day, is your quarterback play. That will be the deciding factor, especially when most teams, when you get to the Super Bowl or when you get to a conference championship game, it's a little different. It's going to boil down to quarterback play. Who has the better quarterback? And we saw that in the Super Bowl that year where they had Ndamukong Suh. They had Aaron Donald. They had some other guys that were on that team, and they didn't even score a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, you got to look at it for like that. I mean, yeah, defense will win games, but your quarterback will win you a championship, man. So I'm not boo-hooing the trade. It's a good trade, but I'm not going to sit here and say Super Bowl bound are the Rams. No, because you still have a lot of formidable teams in the NFC that will have something to say about that. This is not a weak conference. This is a very strong. Now, if the Rams are in the AFC, I would say, yeah, absolutely. Pencil them in because they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but there's too many good teams that the Rams are going to have to play. Hell, within their division. I mean, they still got to get the Cardinals back. Seattle's going to be on the move once Russell Wilson gets back. I mean, Geno Smith did what he needed to do. He held serve a little bit. I think, he went 1 for 2, and they were in a lot of those games. So it's not like they were blown out. The Niners may look like they're trying to do something here. Maybe, they get some guys back from the injury list. But look, like I said, Tampa Bay, you got to worry about Green Bay. You got to worry about my Cowboys. Now, there are a lot of the other teams in the NFC that they're going to have to go up against. I'm not going to sit here and say they are the best team. I don't think so. I don't think so yet. I don't know who the best team is, because honestly, even though we're in week 8, it's still like a week to week thing. I mean, it really is. That's what's so crazy about football, especially National Football League, is that it's week to week at some points. You had the Bengals coming off of really 2 good wins. They go on the road, they beat the Ravens, and they lose to the Jets. So you just never know. You've seen the Rams get blown out at home by the Cardinals, right? So who knows? We really don't know. They're a talented roster. It's a talented group. I'll leave it at that. Speaking of talented or not talented, some people thought Mac Jones, Bill Belichick, they are putting it together. Great win yesterday against the LA Chargers. Look, this team is vying for a playoff berth. I mean, it's gonna be a little tough sledding, but maybe I might be able to formulate something to show you guys here in just a moment, as I go over who's the best in the AFC right now. And the Patriots are one of those. I'm not saying they're the best, but they are in the hunt, along with the Steelers, who had a really impressive win yesterday against the Cleveland Browns. But I'm not talking about them. Let's talk about the Patriots. The Patriots, to me, going into the season, I didn't think they were going to win the division, right? But one thing we know, Bill Belichick's teams play pretty solid defense for the most part. And this team, again, they make games muddy, they murk it up, they make it hard. And honestly, as long as you have a solid defense and you don't turn the ball over, which Mac Jones has started to stop doing that, he's not throwing the ball away as much, you have a chance to win in the league. I mean, you just do. And that's what they're doing. They're making other teams make turnovers and mistakes. They're capitalizing on that. And let's be real. Josh McDaniels is a very capable and very good offensive coordinator. Now, Mac Jones' ceiling right now, he's playing the best out of all the rookie quarterbacks. I mean, that's fair to say. I mean, but then again, he walked into the best situation. You got a Super Bowl caliber coach, Hall of Fame coach, a good offensive coordinator, a great franchise, and he had some talent on there. Now, they are probably in the need for some wide receiver help as well. Maybe you go out and get a Desean Jackson, a guy that you can throw the ball down the field to, or maybe you call up, the Cleveland Browns and say, hey, man, what do you guys want for OBJ? I mean, because really, that's what they're missing. That would help them. I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but given the fact, they played the Cowboys tough, probably should have won that game, right? I mean, the Cowboys committed like 12 penalties. They had some freak plays that happened for them and against them, right? And then you come out and win this week against the Chargers, a team that's a lot of people love, that like Justin Herbert on the road, mind you. But Bill Belichick just knows how to play rookie or young quarterbacks. I mean, Justin Herbert's 0 for 2 against Bill Belichick in back-to-back years. And both games, he immediately made him look like he was brand new to football. So honestly, I think the Patriots can make the playoffs. I mean, really, the AFC is not that deep. A lot of those teams that are in the hunt, hell, a lot of those teams that are right now slated, as you'll see my list here in the next segment, the Patriots can maybe move up and get in a 7th spot. Who knows? 6th spot. We don't know. But but the Patriots, Bill Belichick, yes, Tom Brady left. They didn't have a great year, obviously. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, and Belichick is left with what he has, and he's still making it happen. He's still making it happen. I don't know what's the future going to be in store for Mac Jones moving forward, but I will say, well-coached football teams usually have a lot of success. As simple as that. They usually tend to have a lot of success moving forward, and that's what they're going to do. As long as they play good defense, they let guys like Stephon Gilmore go. I mean, he's in Carolina now. They're not going to lose a beat. They're just not going to lose a beat. And that's one thing that you have to give props to Bill Belichick and the Patriots organization, is that they don't obviously Tom Brady is a big guy that they let go, right? Obviously, but other guys, for the most part, in over 20 years, the one guy you decided you wanted to move on from goes and wins the Super Bowl. What are the odds of that? And that guy happens to be Tom Brady, right? Over the years, guys have wanted so much money from the Patriots. They're like, we're good. We're going to move on. We're going to get guys that fit our system, and they continue to win. What they've done for 20-something years, man, is remarkable. And I don't think it'll ever be replicated again, especially in football, because of salary caps and things of that nature, and injuries and player movement and all this, and rules and all that other stuff. So, shout out to them. I hope they do make the playoffs, because to me, that'll show that Bill Belichick is one of the great all times, if not the greatest all-time coach of all time. I mean, really, I know a lot of people will say, well, he's not, because he had Tom Brady. And I get it. Tom Brady left, won a Super Bowl without them. So I understand that. But listen, man, if he's able to take a team that no one really thinks is that talented, have them vying. And if you go back to last season, they could have probably been in the hunt. If it weren't for COVID and some games that they lost down the stretch and early on, that team could have easily won 10 games last season. So, but that's football. That's life, man. Sometimes you got to get lucky, and they weren't lucky. And maybe this year they're going to get some bounces, but be on the lookout for that. So, I'm definitely excited to see what Mac Jones is going to do, because I wasn't really high on Mac Jones. I ain't going to lie. I wasn't. I mean, he hasn't reached the ceiling yet, but we're almost there. I think he is what he is. And Is he going to play 20 years in the National Football League? Probably not. But he is what he is at this point. So just stay tuned. Just stay tuned for that. All right. AFC playoff picture. And you're probably wondering, well, why aren't I doing the NFC? Well, the NFC is not that fun as far as because you can kind of debate who is really the best team in the NFC right now. But you look at the AFC, man, look at these teams. If the playoffs started today, okay, this is what the seeding would look like. Obviously, now with Derrick Henry out, probably for the remainder of the season, or at least 6 to 10 weeks, the Tennessee Titans are going to come down. They're gonna fall, right? They're not gonna be able to sustain what they do without Derrick Henry. Now, I think they signed Adrian Peterson off the street today. So, love all day. I love Adrian Peterson, but he's not Derrick Henry. Hell, no one's Derrick Henry, right? And then they have Jeremy McNichols. I think he's a third or fourth year running back out of Boise State. He's the guy there. So you can, obviously the Titans are still probably going to win that division because they have, the 2 wins against the Colts. And obviously, because we know Jacksonville and Tennessee and the Texans are not going to do anything. So pretty much that says that unless they have a complete meltdown, I don't know. So Tennessee's probably going to fall out of this, or they're going to move to the back very quickly, very, very quickly, as we see in the next couple of weeks. Then you look at the Buffalo Bills, pretty solid win against Miami. It is what it is. A lot of people love the Buffalo Bills. They really love them. And I'm like, I want to temper my expectations for them because something about them just doesn't hit right for me. It's something about it. You ever had food and you're like, it's good, but it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't move the needle. And I know people probably think I sound crazy, but it's like, can we just acknowledge that Josh Allen's good? He's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, man. He's great, but there's something about him still that I just like. I don't know yet. And honestly, for me, his biggest win was a couple weeks ago against Kansas City. And I could be wrong, but for me, that's the thing. And I'll probably because it was so recent, but I haven't really seen him go out and just win a really, really big game. I haven't. Or been in tough situations where he battled back from adversity. And like I said, I might be missing something, but that's just how I feel. You look at the Raiders, they fired John Gruden, or he resigned, or they parted ways. They got the new interim, Basachi, whatever his name is. So, they're riding kind of a high a little bit. We're going to see how long that goes. They got the Giants next week, who play tonight against the Chiefs. I don't know what to make of the Raiders. I think offensively, they're pretty good. Darren Waller is not being utilized a lot this season, which is odd to me because he's one of the top tight ends in the National Football League. But for whatever reason, he's really not being utilized as much. Maybe they'll fix that. I don't know. But they got some other guys out there. You got Brian Edwards. Obviously, you got Henry Ruggs in the deep threat. Josh Jacobs. Another couple running backs that they got over there too. So, but they're gonna be graded on their defense at the end of the day. Now, they do get after the quarterback really well. They pressure the quarterback, and Max Crosby has really, really stepped up his game even more so. He's getting better every season now since he's been in the National Football League. So, maybe they need to go out and make some type of move right before the trade deadline. I don't know what move there is to be made, but look, they're winning football games, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. So they're winning football games, but I don't know how sustainable the Raiders are. That's what I'm saying, basically. Moving on, another team about sustainability is the Baltimore Ravens. They lost last week to the Bengals. They're Lamar Jackson dominant. That's their offense. Now their defense is still pretty formidable. They don't rush the quarterback nearly as good as people probably think they do. You would think they would, but they don't. They don't. They live and die off of Lamar Jackson. And to me, that is not a great recipe. He still doesn't have a true number one wide receiver. Now, I know they went and got Sammy Watkins, but listen, honestly, I didn't even realize Sammy Watkins was even in the league until I saw him play a couple Monday night games ago against the Colts. I forgot that he was even in Baltimore, right? Because he started in Buffalo, went to the Rams for a little bit. If you remember, he was on the Chiefs for a while, and then now he's in Baltimore. So, again, another team that I don't know how long you can sustain yourself playing the way you do. The Bengals, look, nice story. I think towards the end of the season, they might start to phase out. I really think, even though I was excited for them, I even had them last week in my power rankings. I think that loss to the Jets really spoke volumes a lot to me, because here's why. Good teams that come off of really high wins like that, the way they went into Baltimore and beat them, and then you come and lose to the Jets. And no offense to Jets, but they're the Jets, and they had a backup quarterback starting, and you lose to them. To me, that says a lot about your team and your makeup. Maybe they're not ready yet. Maybe they're not ready yet. What's up, Thrax? He says, "How do I feel about the Browns?" Yeah, I'll get to them in a second. Yeah, because they're in the hunt. They're definitely in the hunt, and I do have some things I do want to say about the Browns. So stick around there, Thrax. I appreciate you, man. Pittsburgh Steelers. Who would have thought, right? Ben Roethlisberger looking like he's a geriatric patient, right? He looked like he's ready for the convalescent home, and they're in the playoff hunt. Big win yesterday against the Browns, who are ailing right now at this point, and they don't know what they're doing. They're in it. Their defense is good, and I don't know. They're the only team right now, if I'm not mistaken, with a winning record that has scored under 20 points. Their average under 20 points a game. That's not sustainable. That's definitely not sustainable, especially when you get into the playoffs. And you look at the rest of these teams that are left, the Chargers can score. That's another team too. Like the Chargers, they do this to people every year. And I would hate to be a Chargers fan, because, they always get your hopes up. They look good. They're looking good. And then they drop a game that they probably shouldn't drop. Then they win a game they probably shouldn't win. And then somebody gets hurt. And then it's like, damn, it's like, here we go. Another Charger season down the drain, right? So, they got rid of Anthony Lynn. Maybe they'll make the playoffs this year with this new coach and Staley. But I don't know. I don't know, man. But all these teams that are right now in the current playoff picture, if the playoffs started today, to me, I really couldn't pick one and say, you know what? This team is probably the best one. Honestly, if I had to choose, I'd probably have to go with Buffalo. Why? Even though they lost to the Titans, but guess what? The Titans are out of the picture. I would say out of the picture now, because listen, Derrick Henry's got. So maybe the Bills are the top spot, but I don't know, man. It's going to take a couple more weeks to kind of, sort this thing out. And then you look at the teams that are in the hunt. Carson Wentz cannot help himself. The guy is just turnover prone. I mean, some of the decisions that he makes is just, what are you doing? You're backed up in your end zone, and you're going to try to flick the ball out. Like, so the Colts are what they are. Nice story. These solid defense, but I'm pretty much done with them. The Cleveland Browns, right? So let me answer your question, Thrax, and thanks for answering that. I appreciate that. Listen, the Browns on paper have one of the most talented teams, and I've said that time and time again, especially after that week 1 loss to the Chiefs. I thought they were going to get ready to make a move, and I thought Baker Mayfield probably was going to get paid. But here's the reality of it all. I don't know what they're good at anymore. We all thought, great, they got Nick Chubb, they got Lamar Hunt, we're running the football. Then you got Juice Landry, you got OBJ, you got guys Austin Hooper, David Njoku, so offensive line is really good, right? But then I don't understand. So then the only outlier problem is the quarterback play, right? And a lot of people are kind of 50-50 on Baker Mayfield. A lot of people think he needs more of a chance, but I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, you've got a really talented roster. And last year, we thought Kevin Stefanski was the shit. I mean, really, excuse my French, but I mean, in just a year's time, has he become a less effective play caller? Or is he limited because of his quarterback? And I think it's kind of falling along the lines of his quarterback is limited. Now, I'm not saying Baker Mayfield can't play in the National Football League. I think he can. I think he's proven that. But is he worth the money that he's going to garner, right? I think his situation is worse than Dak Prescott, right? Because if you look at the two, a lot of people say, well, Dak is kind of like, no, Dak Prescott is nothing like Baker Mayfield. Nothing like Baker. Let's get that out the way right now, right? At least Dak had won a division. He at least won a playoff game. He's done something. Baker Mayfield really hadn't done much, and he was a number 1 overall pick. Mind you, Dak was drafted in the 4th round. And there were reports that they were even going to pass on him. So you can't compare the two. Honestly, if you're the Browns, you're kind of stuck because you don't really have any other options. You maybe do you kind of just let him be, right? Or you sign him, but you say, hey man, this is what we want to pay you. This is what we think is fair. He's going to rebut and say, no, that's not fair. This is not what I'm worth. So you're kind of like in this quandary. I think the Browns are that's a good roster. But and then the other thing, the OBJ dynamic with Baker Mayfield. First of all, the trade was very odd to begin with. I have never been a big fan of veteran receivers playing with rookie quarterbacks. It's hard, man, or young quarterbacks. It's hard, and you hear it time and time again. And I know firsthand with Dak and Des Bryant when Dak started his career in 2016. Des, an established receiver, doing his thing. He wants the ball. OBJ is kind of like, I'm a diva, like I want the ball, right? And maybe that kind of clouds Baker Mayfield's decision. I don't know. Baker will say, well, it doesn't bother me. It's great. He's an asset, blah, 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 blah. They downplay it. But it shows up, man. Because look, we weren't talking about Baker Mayfield in this capacity last season. We were talking about how he probably could have been an MVP candidate, or he's going to get paid now because look at the numbers he's putting up, right? So who knows what to think with this guy? So, the Browns are still in the hunt. They got some heavy work to do, because you got teams down in your division, that you've lost to now. You're down to the Steelers. You've lost to the Ravens, if I'm not mistaken. So you got some work to do. And then you look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs obviously always have a shot because they have Patrick Mahomes, right? They're not going to fix their defense anytime soon. And the most thing they can probably do is get another pass rusher. That's probably about it. Other than that, you're not going to find a running game all of a sudden. And your back end really is not that great anyway. The Broncos, they mailed it in. They're like, well, we're giving up Von Miller. We're done. Maybe you go out and sign another quarterback. I don't know what you do, but the Broncos are done. And then, like I talked about the Patriots, in the last segment before. So, who knows? Who knows? But that's what the playoff picture looks like right now. As you can tell, dude, it's murky. There's no clear, distinctive team that sticks out, and you're like, oh yeah. At least in the NFC, you can say, you know what? Check this out, man. Tom Brady, the Bucks, they all look good. It's like it's probably 4 or 5 teams, right? And then that you're like, okay. And I'm not going to put the Cowboys up. I think the Cowboys are good. They had a great win last night. That's a game that they probably typically do lose, but they didn't. So, I'm going to see what they're going to do the rest of the year. Obviously, we're still not even halfway through the season technically yet, not until next week. So, but if you're catching what I'm laying down, is like you look at these teams in the AFC, it's like, who's the dominant team? Who is that one team that's like, who's going to go after it? Who's going to get it? Now, there's some teams you can probably scratch off, like I said, like the Bengals, maybe the Steelers, who can't sustain what they're doing. But who knows, man? Like I said, I think the Patriots can sneak in there at 7 or 6, right? Thrax got another question. He says, speaking with the Pats, who should sign? Cam Newton, honestly, the thing with Cam Newton is that he doesn't realize that he's not a starting quarterback anymore, right? Now, as far as who should sign him, I mean, the Saints would probably be a viable option. Hell, I'm surprised the Jets, but the Jets probably knew what they had in Kevin White, right? That's probably why they went and got Joe Flacco, right? But when they initially signed Joe Flacco, I was like, damn, you're not gonna even call Cam Newton like Joe Flacco? That's who you guys traded for, a guy that you had on your roster last year who left, then you traded to get him back. Where you could just call up Cam and be like, hey man, come down here. But it is what it is. But it's gonna be interesting with the Jets moving forward, like what their deal is, because if Mike White goes out and wins another game, you officially have a quarterback controversy. But as far as what team, I mean, honestly, not the Redskins, the Washington football team. But there's a reason why Cam is not getting the calls, and it's because he's a distraction. He's not going to be about, yes, he wants to win. He wants to be a football player, but it's some of the comments that he's made, especially after he left the Patriots. He had like his own podcast where he sat down with his dad and talked about some of the intricacies to how he was released. And, as a GM, do you want a guy like that on your team who's not even a starting quarterback, who's not really going to really contribute to your organization at this point in time like that? Probably not. So you're going to go get a Joe Flacco who doesn't have any great bits or takes that's going to show up on social media somewhere. And that's part of the reason why Cam will not be signed. I think it, man, like 2 other teams would have to lose their quarterback. And if he doesn't get signed, then his career is done. And I think his career is over now, to be honest with you. I thought a couple years ago, last season, he probably should have tried to go to the Steelers and play behind Big Ben, maybe. But I think that plane is taken off. That ship has sailed away. But the Patriots, they were like, you know what? We're gonna go with Mac Jones. Thanks, Cam. We appreciate you, but you're just doing too much, bro. So they said we got to bounce, and that's exactly what they did. And right now, the National Football League is basically saying, Cam, like, we're good, dude. Like, you're. I mean, you think you're better than what you are. He's not a starting quarterback in the National Football League. Well, I take that back because he probably could start in Washington. He could start in Denver, but to be a guy for a team that's ready to go right now, like let's just say like the Tennessee Titans, Tannehill got hurt. He could probably go in there and manage that, or even, the Seahawks when Russell Wilson went down, but they had Geno Smith there. So I don't know if he does get calls, what he says, but he's definitely have to change his mindset. I know he went and changed his mind about the COVID vaccine because he wasn't getting that before. That's part of the reason why maybe the Patriots released him too. But I think it's bigger than COVID. I think they just didn't like, what he brought to the table and all the extra baggage. That's just what my take is on that. So, but I appreciate the question, Thax, man. Hey, thanks for hopping in the comment section, man. That's always appreciative. All right, man. Last subject for tonight, NBA. So, I watch NBA. I'm not a super big NBA guy. I do follow it. I watch it. I cover it, and I do talk about it on my show. But one thing I do like about this particular topic is that, James Harden and Trae Young, they're kind of these two players are kind of in the mix of an NBA rule change, basically that's allowing defensive players to be a little bit more aggressive when guarding guys. Now, James Harden has seen a significant decrease in the free throw attempts this year. Same thing with Trey Lance. And these guys, especially James Harden, he has lived off the free throw line. Not saying the guy doesn't have game, because he does. And so does Trey Lance. These guys are phenomenal basketball players, but they have benefited and feasted off of the ability that they can basically do whatever they need to do to create space to get to the lane and score. Now, the NBA is like, nah, we don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to reward that. So we're going to make you play a little bit more physical basketball, which I love because, look, I'm an 80s baby. I grew up in the 80s. I got to see the early 90s basketball. And, dude, I hate to sound like this guy, but to me, that was like the glory days, man, especially the late 80s, early 90s, where dudes were just throwing fists. I mean, literally. And there was no monitor replay. You lost a tooth, you spit it out or whatever, and you're back in the game. There was no technical foul. There was nothing, right? And hell, I don't even see a personal foul was even called. Not saying that we need to get back to that level, but the NBA is different now. The NBA is ran more in an efficient way as a business. James Harden, Trey Lance, these guys are commodities for teams. They bring in lots and lots and lots of money. Back in the day, Bill Laimbeer was not bringing in a lot of butts in the seats to the Auburn Palace, right? So we didn't care to see him elbow someone or him get, sucker punched by another opposing player. We didn't care about that, right? But today, you got to take care of your investments. The amount of money that these NBA teams are paying players, it's interesting to me that they made this rule change. So what should James Harden do? I've heard people say, if you don't think James Harden is going to be able to kind of maneuver his way around this, you don't know basketball. I think James Harden will still be a very dominant force in the NBA. He's going to have to cater his game. He did get a lot of calls. He always gets a lot of calls. And what happens in the playoffs is that the referees swallow the whistle. But so now basically they're swallowing the whistle for the whole season. So he's going to have to adjust to that. Now, same thing with Trey Lance. He's a young Trey Lance. Oh God, I forgot the guy's name already. Trey Young, excuse me. Trey Young. They're going to have to be able to conform their game to what the NBA is going to look like in the next couple of years or so, right? Trey Young is not a big guy. James Harden's got more size, more skill, probably a little bit. He can drive a little bit better. But listen, the rules are what the rules are. You can love them, you can hate them. Look, you got to get around them. You got to get around them. And if anything's going to make you a better player and not have to, because look, And when I'm watching a game, when James Harden comes down every time, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, there's a foul. We got to, it slows up the game, man. It really does. And I think the NBA they don't want that. They want to see these guys in action. They want to see the ball moving. They don't want to see guys stopping every couple of minutes because, he gets the ball, he clears through some guys. I mean, you see guys literally play James Harden with their hands behind their back. Why? Because back in the day, you couldn't even put a hand on the guy. There's no arm checks. You can't hip check. You can't do anything. So, I think these guys just need to get over it. Does it suck for them? Yeah, it sucks. When you basically exploited something that was which was within the rules of the game. I understand that, right? So you're not cheating, but now they've changed it. So get over it, move on, step your game up, help your teams win, and that's all you can do at this point, right? Honestly, that's it. So I won't say much more about that. It is what it is on that. Some people might disagree with me. Some people might. It really doesn't matter to me. I don't care. So anyway, man, before I get out of here, man, you know what I always do on Mondays? I have my clutch and not so much candidates or recipients. And off the bat today, man, shout out to the 3 backup quarterbacks. Cooper Rush for my Dallas Cowboys pulling off the victory in Minneapolis. Shout out to my cousin, Little Mike. Yes, yeah. I hope he gets this, but you wanted the smoke, you got it, and you lost. Good luck. Next guy, Mike White, who also was a former Cowboys player. For those you don't know, drafted out of Western Kentucky. Go Hilltoppers, right? He came out. He balled out, dude. He balled out. So shout out to Mike White. Like I said, the Jets might have a quarterback controversy, right? But honestly, I think at the end of the day, Zach Taylor or Zach Wilson will be the guy there. They invested too much in him. And then finally, you got Trevor Simeon, who's bounced around a little bit, was drafted by I believe Denver Broncos, kind of stayed there for a little bit during the John Elway era there where he was GM making the decisions. He came out and won, and he outplayed Tom Brady, right? Isn't that crazy? So 3 started backup quarterbacks came out and won games yesterday. Pretty amazing. So shout out to them for that. Thrax, he's like, NBA pity patty now. Yeah, it is. It is. And I don't know how old you are, Thrax, but dude, when I was growing up, man, dudes were getting laid out and there wasn't even no fouls call, man. It's crazy. Now, you blow at a guy or something like that. You blow on him. It's a foul, so it's different. All right, moving on. Not so clutch right now. The Detroit Lions, dude. 0-8. This team is horrible. Was never a fan of the Dan Campbell hire. No, I don't know what the hell that GM was thinking. I guess he forgot that it's the National Football League and not the WWE because that's what you got in a head coach. And now I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but I never loved his press conferences. I didn't really like the message. And then he didn't have a pedigree. I'm not saying that you had to have had NFL head coaching experience because we've seen in the past that guys have come into league and have a good and weren't even head coaches before. But really, what has this guy done? Really, I don't know. I think he might be a great motivator. I doubt it because look, that team quit on them. The Eagles are not a good football team. And you basically get boat showed out of there. So not so clutch for the Detroit Lions. They probably will go 0-6, 0-17, man. Again, would that be crazy? In 20 years, right? In 20 years, the same organization would have not won a game in the National Football League because they did it years ago, but not so clutch for them. Clutch, Ezekiel Elliott. If you watch that Sunday night game now, you're going to be like, well, why is he clutch? Here's why. It was towards the end of the game, about a minute, some change left. It was like 3rd and 11. They dumped the ball off to Ezekiel Elliott. He breaks like 2 or 3 tackles to fight for the first down to get them in 1st and goal. That eventually led to the game-winning touchdown from Cooper Rush to Amari Cooper. So, he didn't have a great game stat-wise, right? Which I wasn't surprised that he didn't, right? Because listen, the Vikings knew that Dak Prescott probably wasn't going to play. So they probably thought the Cowboys were going to run heavy. So they stacked the box, man. They were putting 8-9 guys in the box. And eventually, Cooper Rush made the throws that he needed to make, and that's why the Cowboys won. But anyway, I don't want to take. I already gave Cooper Rush his flowers. But shout out to my guy Ezekiel Elliott. Came up big on that 3rd down. That's what we need from him, being clutch. And finally, not so clutch. This guy, this buffoon, Colin Kaepernick, dropped a I don't know, a series on Netflix about his life. And during the opening credits, he doesn't say this, but what he's basically alluding to was that playing in the NFL is almost like being a part of slavery. That's what I got from that. And honestly, that is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. And I'm sick. I'm sick of this guy. And the fact that he keeps getting play. Netflix gave him a show. I don't get it, dude. Like, you sucked. You had one good year. You never were able to recapture that. The league wanted you out. You started this whole kneeling thing. It evolved. People got tired of it. Got old. People don't even do it anymore, really. In the NFL, maybe some guys do. And now you're on Netflix saying being a professional football player is somewhat a form of slavery. Like, I can't speak for all African Americans, because I'm mixed. I mean, I'll be proud. I'm proud of my heritage. My parents are from Belize, so Belizean descent. That's my heritage, right? So I'm mixed. My mother is Hispanic or Latin, and my obviously my dad is African descent. Listen, you cannot compare being, and it's funny because if you gotta watch. I couldn't even watch the whole clip because it made me sick to my stomach. He basically said, the combine, they poke and prod you, they ask you all, which, okay, I understand that, right? But you have a choice. It's not like, and even in the combine, you're invited to come to the combine. I'm pretty sure when white settlers came over to Africa, they did not cordially invite slaves to get on the boat, ship them across the world, beat them, starve them, jam-pack them in ships, fed them scraps, probably fed them each other. That's not even close to being invited to a combine in a controlled environment in Indianapolis, right? And then on top of that, and somebody has said, well, you're missing the point because the point is that the NFL has this slave-like mentality. Okay, is the NFL perfect? No, it's not. It's not, man. I understand that. There are some shady deals. There are some shady owners. There are some shady coaches that we realize that. I understand that. But at the end of the day, you have a right. You have a right to say no. If you're a college football player, you don't have to play in the National Football League. You chose to play in the National Football League. Now, when you accept that invitation to go to a combine, you understand that, yes, everything is on the table. A couple years ago, someone asked Des Bryant about his mom if she was a crack hoe. Now, was that out of line? Absolutely, it was. But when you go to these types of things, that's on the table. And you have to decide whether or not you're willing to put up with that. And honestly, for a man who talks so much slander, and another thing, hold on, before I get to that, in regards to slavery, maybe I'm wrong. If we have any history teachers or anybody that can shed some light on this for me, I don't remember if slaves had representatives. I don't remember having the Slaves Association for representation. There weren't none. Okay, there weren't none. There weren't any. Excuse me. Right. So to say that it's like slavery, come on, that's the most idiot. And honestly, for Netflix to even put this fool up on there, I'm kind of thinking about maybe not watching Netflix so much anyway, because that's ridiculous. But I guess on the same note token too, they got Dave Chappelle doing his thing too. So it is what it is. They're gonna put on their screens what is gonna sell. And so far, this is not a clutch move. And I know I spent a lot more time talking about this guy probably than I shouldn't have, but I just had to put that out there because I think it's ridiculous to compare any sports organization. You can compare that to slavery. People died, man. People died in slavery. No one is dying at NFL combines. Maybe your pride may die. Maybe your dreams will die, but slaves actually lost their lives. So, Colin Kaepernick, man, you're not clutch. Get out of here, bro. It's so ridiculous. So that's it. I'll leave it at that because if not, I'm going to even get more irritated than what I am right now. So that's all I got, man. Monday Night Football getting ready to kick off between the New York Giants against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll tell you what, man. The Chiefs better win tonight. If they lose tonight, they're done. They're done, bro, because you can't lose to the Giants. You can't. So anyway, man, that's my episode. Hope you guys liked it. I appreciate you. Appreciate all the support. Thank you for guys that were in the comment section. My guy Thrax, you must be new. I've never seen your name before. Appreciate you, man. Maybe this was your first time commenting. Appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot for the support. And everybody else, if you were watching, hey, that's great. You didn't have to comment either. That's cool. If you just want to listen and vibe out, that's what I'm here for. But anyway, that's all I got. You guys can catch me on my next show. It's my NFL Sunday morning show, which airs live around 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's about noon Eastern Standard Time. Basically, I go over a couple notes before the games and give you some of my picks that I think might win. But other than that, that's all I got. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy Monday Night Football. This is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Never settle till the work is done. Let's go.